All right, hello, and welcome to this episode where we're going to talk about escaping our feelings and how much we usually engage in this without even realizing it. And then we're also going to talk about the importance of learning to let go. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Matt Codde, and I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I'm the creator of the AAA Response. And real quick before we dive into the show today, really would appreciate your support by liking and subscribing if you're joining us via YouTube, and if you're joining us via podcast, if you could leave us a nice review on iTunes or Spotify, as it just really helps the algorithm of the show. So you taking the few seconds to do that just really boost the algorithm, which gets this in front of more people. And so we really would appreciate your support on that. So let's go ahead and dive into today about the idea of escapism. And, when we're talking about OCD and anxiety, this is to really simplify what we're talking about and really understand what the problem is. My objective has always been to just make this simple, because while well-intended, I think a lot of the academic language and ideologies that get brought in, and especially the archaic, treatments that sometimes get implemented, especially when it comes to ERP, just even the ideology of it. Like obviously I'm a big supporter of ERP, don't get me wrong, but sometimes there's people that try to implement it in just unhealthy ways and unsuccessful ways. And so this is really about understanding what the problem is and then implementing a solution that makes sense. And ERP does make sense. It's really the foundation and a lot of what the AAA response is rooted in. But it's in the context of understanding the problem correctly. And so first thing that we got to understand is this idea of the levels of energy that we experience as humans, and what you might call emotions, right? I mean, is just another term, because emotion is really just this idea of energy in motion in the body, and the energy levels that we can experience are range from very low to very high. And there's people that have created, much smarter people than me, created these energetic scales and that we can experience, right? At the bottom being things like shame or apathy, right? At the top being things like love and joy, and everything in between. And we as humans have the ability and the capacity to experience this whole range of emotions, and may experience the whole range of emotions on just a given day. And when you understand that a certain energy or emotion pattern, right, what it really is just sensations in the body. That's what we're really experiencing. Because even when you say, hey, I don't want to feel fear. Okay, like, what is fear? Like, let's talk about that. What is fear? Fear, for one person, may be a racing heart. For another person, may be getting sweaty. For another person, may be this pit in their stomach. And at the end of the day, what we do is or when you say, hey, I don't like feeling angry, right? Well, anger might just be, even the feeling of heat and like your blood boiling, right? Even in cartoons, they show, the person's face get like boiling red. What we're talking about is an energetic sensation in the body. That's what we're talking about when it comes to energy and emotions. And what we do is in our minds, we create a label for that particular experience. So someone will throw the word fear on what they're experiencing. But really, when we're talking about facing fear, what we're really talking about is feeling those underlying energetic experiences, those underlying sensations themselves. And what we need to realize is that when it comes to what most people are doing in their day-to-day life, is they are attempting to escape the feelings that they already have in their body. And so a lot of people will say things like, well, hey, it's so difficult to relax, right? It's so difficult to like unwind. And if you take 9 out of 10 people, right, and I practice this with people that come through my program, right, with taking back control, and I just say, hey, like, can you just like sit by yourself? Just sit by yourself, right? Let's say for a period of 20 minutes, no phone, no distractions, no podcast, no TV, no books, like literally just sit with yourself. 9 out of 10 people, and that's being generous, I think, can't do that and won't do that, and report that to be a very, very difficult process. And even when people try to meditate, this is interesting, is I actually find that people actually use meditation in some way of escaping, because they will, again, repeat a certain phrase or focus on the wall, or, you know, and essentially place their awareness in some way that distracts them from the uncomfortable sensations that are just present in their body. And so when we're talking about OCD and anxiety, what we are talking about when its simplest form is, I don't like what I'm feeling in my body right now, and I need to get rid of it. And these two kind of central themes of I don't like what I'm feeling and I need to get rid of it are at the crux of any quote unquote theme or manifestation of OCD, panic attacks, right? General anxiety, social anxiety, right? Phobias, all of it. It comes back down to this. I don't like what I'm feeling in my body. Not even that I don't like fear, and because even that's just a concept by the mind. It's like, I don't like the feelings that I have, the sensations that I have, the energy that I'm experiencing in my body. And therefore, I attempt to get rid of it. Now, there's lots of ways that we try to get rid of it, right? There is suppression and repression, so just kind of just burying it. I'm just going to push it down, push it aside. I'm going to keep trekking forward, right? And then there is escapism, right, which is kind of what I want to talk about today. And then there is like expressing or venting it out, trying to talk about it. And this is what a lot of therapists serve as actual safety behaviors and reassurance givers to people with OCD and anxiety, is they just let them vent and talk about their problem, and it doesn't resolve anything, because essentially it's just kind of I don't like how I feel and I need to express it to somebody. And it doesn't actually address the idea of still, how do you be with these feelings in your body? And what most of us do, and I would say 90% of what we do in our life is escapism. And when we talk about escapism, people usually run to these, kind of more extreme ideas, right? Like, hardcore drug use, right? And of course, that is a form of escapism, right? Using heroin, methamphetamine, alcohol, right? Xanax. There's entire industries built around and that thrive on people's inability to be with themselves. Or I shouldn't say inability, that's a bad word, that's not correct. People's unwillingness to be with themselves, because everyone has the ability to do this. And when you understand that that's what these industries are built on, I mean, same with entertainment too, right? Like, and I'm guilty of this as anyone else. It's just, once you understand that this is the work to do, it becomes much more obvious, right, what we actually need to do. Because, especially in the age of streaming and all of this, it's like, people can just sit there and binge watch shows, for hours and hours and hours. And then obviously the alcohol industry, that's its number one function, is to really just give you something you can put in your body that kind of, again, takes the edge off. Well, what's it taking the edge off of? It's the stuff that's already there. The stuff that's already there. And our willingness to be with ourselves and to feel through what's in our body is really at the source of our recovery. And even, and I use that term recovery kind of loosely, because what it really is getting our body back to like just a balanced state. And so many of us are so out of whack and so just filled to the brim with emotion that we don't even know how to really handle it, and then we don't really have good tools on what to do with it. That's what this series is going to be about. And the escapism, though, is really, I think, at the front of it, because it is just the hyper busyness. I honestly think, like, a lot of people will say that we live in this time where people are just so busy that and that's the cause of the problems that we have, right? And I don't know if that's true anymore. When I think about it, I know we live in a very, very busy way. I know many of us do. I know I did for a very long time. Full-on workaholism, just filling my schedule up and thinking that because I'm being so productive, because I'm being, I'm grinding so hard, that is the secret to success. And it's the furthest thing from the truth, because at the end of the day, even people that go with that route and reach certain financial levels of success, even if you think financials are equivalent to success, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation, right? But let's say you reach a certain financial level by grinding and whatever, right? At the end of the day, what happens is that you're still there. And then once you think you're going to just go and enjoy life and I'm going to just, have nothing to do, you're still with yourself. And that same problem emerges. And then it's, okay, well, this isn't working, so I need to go start a new company. I need to go do something else, right? I need to go, and I need to just keep busy. And that busyness, what that is our attempt to escape being with ourselves, if we're really honest. Most of us don't need to be as busy as we are. We just don't. And we complain about the busyness, thinking that it's the problem, realizing realizing that it's actually the solution we're attempting to implement because of the problem we have of just being able to be with ourselves, or our unwillingness to be with ourselves, I should say. More specifically, our unwillingness to be with our uncomfortable sensations in our body. And the work there then implies, yes, we need to eliminate our safety behaviors, the things we're doing that we're doing to escape. And so much of us, we're so unaware of what that is, whether it's just ruminating in our mind, it could be just avoidance, it could be busyness, it could be, compulsive washing, right? It could be pornography, like we talked about in the last episode, right? I mean, it's just, once you realize that at the crux of this is just very simply the idea of, I don't know what to do with, and I feel so uncomfortable in my body and I don't know what to do with that. So I'm going to do these things in an attempt to mask it, escape it, or temporarily express it. And because that doesn't actually work, I'm just going to keep doing those things. This is really, ladies and gentlemen, at the crux of everything is this. And that's why it's so important that we learn how to be with ourselves, right? How to sit with ourselves and just be in silence. I'm not saying you need to go and join a monastery or whatever, or and go and meditate 16 hours a day. That's not what I'm saying. But, a lot of it is we're carrying around so much stuff that we got to learn to start letting it go. And we got to be okay to just be with us. And that's really, what at the very center of all of this is. If we're just really stripping it down to bare bones and just talking about what the actual problem of OCD and anxiety, and not just that, but all the secondary problems that then manifest as a result of it. And it's like, what we're talking about here is like really at the epicenter of the whole thing. And I wanted to make this series because it's just becoming more and more clear actually how many people really struggle with this and have no idea that they do. Really struggle with just an inability or an unwillingness to feel what's going on and to be with that in its entirety. And how many of us perceive emotions as these dangerous things that can't be felt. So our life is spent stacking our schedules up and engaging in all these different activities to make sure that we don't feel them. So central message of the episode today is just starting to become, or inviting you to start to become aware just how uncomfortable you are in your own body. Even notice if you immediately jump to like thinking of other people and start to like, oh yeah, my husband does that, my wife does that, this person, I can't believe them. You see, man, it's just told. Look how you go there, right? And bring it back to you. And a challenge for the week could be simply to set a 20-minute timer and just see if you can just sit in complete silence and and then notice what that experience is like. Notice what happens. And notice your pull into like, oh, I need to go check email. I need to go do this. I need to do this. That is what I'm talking about right there. That is the escapism. And the more and more we become aware of this, though, the good news is there's ways to resolve this. And that's what we'll continue talking about on this series. So thank you so much. I know this is a little lengthier episode than I normally do, but the topic was just kind of just on my heart today, and wanted to share it. So hope this was helpful. Again, wish you guys a great week, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Hey there. So if you enjoyed that video, we've linked up a few more videos that we think you'd find helpful as well. And if you have found this helpful, we'd really appreciate your support by liking and subscribing. And if you're looking for help and guidance, please check out restoredminds.com, as we have several options for you to get started. See you guys soon.